Hey everyone, and welcome back to the news. What a week. I am pretty darn sure the tally is going to have no bother filling out a certain section of the weekly reset this time round. A lot has happened, both in-game and out-of-game, and then as a final reminder, we're doing a Lovecraft-themed Sea Beast A5 print in addition to this month's normal Master tier, so you'll get one of these, contains a bunch of these, plus the other print for the $25, and your support has allowed us to do so much more for the same price there. Every time we get better bulk pricing, the first thought we have is, what more stuff can we add in? So, a big thank you for that, and a smooth segue for me, because on the topic of things that cost $25, let's talk about the Dreadwake. Yes, it has returned. This was originally bundled with the 6-month World of Warcraft subscription as a promotion shortly after Battle for Azeroth launched. It wasn't massively well received at the time because the tides were kind of beginning to turn against the expansion. Plus, I mean, hey, it was a boat that didn't float, which was a little bit weird. Now, for players like me who are already on a 6-month sub, I mean, comes to the territory considering my job, well, just appeared in my mailbox one day. But for many other people, they signed up for the 6 months. Now, from the start, Blizz said the mount would return to the store at some point. In this case, it has returned pretty much after those 6-month subs ran out. So there was no lies, there was no deceit here, although not everyone is going to have read that disclaimer text, and I can't really blame anyone for being a little bit taken aback at the whole thing. I don't think people are surprised out of bad faith. Now, regardless of it coming back, Blizz did, employ strong FOMO, i.e. fear of missing out marketing. There was adverts proclaiming it was, your last chance. Of course, it was your last chance to do the 6-month promo, not your last chance to get a mount, but once more, it's understandable how people wouldn't have known that, or, would have just sort of felt pressure to, go and get do the purchase. Now, of course, BFA had a rough first 6 months, and based off how 8.2 is shaping up, I'd say the first 6 months of BFA will probably be the worst 6 months of BFA. I think this patch could turn things around quite a bit, so yeah, there's, I'd say, a higher than normal number of unsatisfied purchasers with that original deal. So the Dreadwake coming back, yeah, that's expected. Will my tweet earn me a place on Tally's shit show? Probably, but I entirely stand by what I said. It is a mount that is pushed by 2 different vectors of influence in a game that has a full box price every 2 years plus a monthly subscription. Therefore, I am against all store mounts, I always have been, and the more heavily pushed they are, the more I am against them. Indeed, look at the PvP tournament toys that Blizzard sort of smuggled in, that's yet another microtransaction, and unlike, say, the StarCraft 2 war chests, it's not like they're going to remove those toys after the esports season is over. They will linger in the store for years to come, so really I just see that as a backdoor way of putting toys in the store. Really, for me, it's a simple game design problem. Rewards, I think, are important in games. They're a great way to give players a permanent totem to their accomplishment, to their achievements. In World of Warcraft, well, if a model has amazing, unique animations that aren't seen anywhere else and is super high quality, and generally just if it's a high quality mount, you can be pretty darn sure it will be a promotion. If the mount is just an in-game creature with a saddle slapped on it, it'll be earnable in-game. Now, yes, token is a side point here, you can purchase them with gold, but we all know how token actually works on the financial side, and if that was a purely correct argument, then hey, why even bother adding them to the store at all? Just put them in-game at a vendor for gold. I mean, come on, they're on the store for a reason, let's use our heads here. I think that the bit that really does get me, though, is the varying model quality and the uniqueness. That's why, to me, it feels really bad. The high-effort stuff is in the shop, the low-effort reskin / slap a saddle on an in-game creature stuff, that's in-game. And that is a game that we still pay a monthly sub for. And really, I'm not going to change in this. I see no good reason to compromise on my principles because they're becoming unpopular and because of other people's arguments. I've seen no good arguments, really, in favor of this, and I'm not going to yield just because people are apathetic. Principles matter, and you can be damn sure I'm sticking by mine. As for what I do on Patreon, it's monthly. Is that not FOMO? Well, it's tied to physical production runs and the batching that is needed to make the whole thing feasible, so I don't think so. The cadence is like that for real production issues, not artificial ones. So that's my piece on that. Next, though, and still in money news, we've got the BlizzCon Portal Pass. This sparked off another, fair bit of drama, and, well, again, I think it's just because that idealized image of Blizzard, I think, has been shattering a little bit, post BlizzCon 2018, and especially with the layoffs, which were pretty rough. So BlizzCon tickets are sold in 3 tiers now. There's regular, Portal Pass, and Charity Dinner. Now, the first and last tiers are the same, bar the regular price increasing $30, but the Portal Pass is new. It's essentially a VIP Fast Pass. It gets you preview entry to the Darkmoon Faire Market on the Thursday night. There's then the Portal Pass Lounge that will have video screens of the various panels and a mix of Blizzard staff dropping by, plus on-the-house refreshments and an in-lounge store for buying yet more things. They then also will get early access to the con and preferred lines, plus preferred parking, though you still actually do need to pay for the parking, which is kind of funny. And that all costs $550 per ticket, just under double the base ticket price. It's a hell of a lot of money, let's be real. It's a hell of a lot. That said, I mean, BlizzCon's a business. It has been for a very long time. They can do what they want here. I think it's pretty different to the Stormount situation. I think games and IRL are, apples and oranges. BlizzCon very much is run like a business, and they will make a hell of a lot of money from this. I don't think it's great value personally. I mean, early access to stores, that's not worth that much because most of the stuff is available online anyway. As for the queues, well, I just don't know what they're like for BlizzCon. If you've been to BlizzCon before, let me know what the queues are typically like. I'd be interested to know. BlizzCon's also generally expensive. An adult 5-day Star Wars Celebration Pass is $215, though their VIP is $850, but it's over twice the length of BlizzCon. Ultimately, it's a ticketed event that's pretty darn expensive. The worth of that is up to each individual. For better or worse, real life is not a balanced video game with fair mechanics, and that's just how this sort of thing will go. As for the con itself, well, I think it's going to be a massive BlizzCon. The Overwatch rumor mill has been working in overdrive. I mean, I've heard pretty mighty things in the grapevine. We'll probably see a new World of Warcraft expansion. We'll probably see Diablo 4, and then, of course, the final patch of BFA. So it could be a large BlizzCon. I doubt it will be a repeat of 2018, which was a big PR disaster for the company. Ultimately, if that was all they had to announce, based on them cancelling BlizzCons before, I don't think they would have done BlizzCon 2018. I think it's pretty clear that Diablo 4 was pulled from the con, but at a time when the con was already locked in, and that's why that happened. Finally, the goodie bag has been replaced with a statue. It's either a Horde or Alliance one that is of the same style to the recent ones they put in the store to celebrate the 25th Warcraft anniversary. So whether you like it or not, well, that's just down to the style and your preferences. It certainly is different to what's in-game. I think they're fine personally. The similar statues retail for £50 on the UK store, so I guess that's about the value of this year's, BlizzCon sort of thing. I think I'd actually rather just have one good item instead of a bag of tat, so I'm actually pretty okay with what they've done with that. Next up, the mod ban. The dramatics don't end. Blizzard issued a large wave of 6-month bans to people who were using tools that modified game files. This actually included a few machinima tools as well as model swappers, often those, used by those who frequent the Goldshire Tavern, if you know what I mean. There was a bit of an outcry, mainly from the model swapping people, with people just saying there was a pretty victimless breach of service, or breach of the terms. After all, I mean, the model changes are just on client, doesn't really impact other players. Now, there is a potential for some trouble here. It is the same type of trick that was used to see through the floor in Cthulhu way back in the day, or it could be used to, say, enlarge the size of a battleground flag to appear larger and being more noticeable, so it could affect gameplay. Now, the update to this that's actually quite good is Blizz have argued that some of the suspensions were for harmless activities, so they've decided to actually revert them and issue warnings, saying that if people continue to break the TOS, they will take further action. And overall, I think that's surprisingly fair. They must have hit quite a lot of fairly non-harmful players with the 6-month bans, and probably realized that it may not have been the best play. I suppose it's tricky, because it is all stuff that's against the TOS, and has been for ages, but it's not really something that was enforced. So I do think it's better to issue a warning before enforcement, so yes, I think this ended up working out okay. If only Blizzard made a statement before the potion bans or something like that. I'm actually sort of happy to see how this one played out. Sure, it was not super clean because the warnings came after the fact and with the reversions, but you know what? It's not normally how Blizzard do this sort of thing. Perhaps moving forward, this is an indicator that they will be more clear about issuing warnings to players before running in with the ban hammer, and really, I think that just is better for player relations. Okay, next, item level increase. Let's actually just cover some in-game stuff. So, the eye level increase. Blizzard have increased the potential rewards from a variety of content in the game, of course, to line up with the Crucible of Storm's, raid release. This is pretty much what you would expect, with World Quest rewards bumping up 10 item levels, Emissary Azerite bumping up 15 levels to 400, Emissary Equipment going up to 395, along with the Against Overwhelming Odds quest. all fairly simple, it's all live now. This will help you get your characters up to speed just a little bit quicker, but yeah, well, I mean, hey, it's all kind of shifting goalposts, isn't it? So the, the average item level will now just be about 10 higher. Anyway, next, portals. Blizz have added the Caverns of Time portal into the portal rooms of 815. That removes one of the major pain points from the portal removals of that patch, but it doesn't really solve the kind of core problem I think that many people had, where it's like Blizzard did that to make the world feel larger, but generally the world just doesn't feel that large because there's not much meaning in it. So it would be great if Blizzard would just be able to make Azeroth feel large by making it meaningful. And I think that's probably an expansion or two away. I think it would be unlikely to say that Blizzard aren't aware that that's a problem, so I wouldn't be surprised if the next expansion is just trying to make the world of Warcraft feel a little bit more meaningful. Next up, we've got the employee testing of World of Warcraft Classic. Yep, it's hit BNet. It's allowed employee accounts to jump into WoW Classic. And this clearly is a major step closer to Classic Beta, which really must be quite soon indeed. I mean, with a summer release and, a generally slow pace of gameplay, they're going to have to get that in players' hands pretty shortly to get, proper testing of it. Now, I'd absolutely expect Classic Beta to be in full swing within the next calendar month because of that, and personally, I'm pretty damn excited to get into it. I don't think that Classic will really mesh with where my life is right now, just because of the time aspect of things, but I can totally see myself chipping away at that over the months. At the end of the day, regular World of Warcraft is going to have its lulls, and Classic is included within the same subscription, so certainly it will round out Blizzard's Warcraft product offering quite a bit, I'd say. So yeah, that's mostly it for the news. Of course, there has been a fair amount of PTR stuff, really just a lot to jump into there, and I think patch 8.2 is just an interesting topic to me. As I've said in a lot of my videos, it's interesting how the willingness to be, excited or interested in 8.2 is certainly quite low, and while I do think that, yes, it's not going to magically fix class design or anything like that, and yeah, I would go back to the MoP days of class design in a heartbeat if I could, honestly, I really would. But, I think that most of its changes are pretty darn positive, and we're working on a Mechagon video that's involved both me and my researcher/producer, Matt, putting quite a lot of time into that zone. So we'll have to see when that video actually comes out, but so far, Mechagon seems really great. At least in what it's trying to do. And that's nice, because it's not trying to appeal to everyone. It's actually trying to just be good at what it does. And that really is quite nice, because I think it's a lot better that a bit of content like Mechagon actually has a target audience that enjoys it, rather than it just feeling a bit irrelevant to everyone. So, it's interesting with 8.2. I'm getting pretty into it. Now that said, the other interesting thing of the channel has been the lore. The last two videos that I've done have been lore, and they have... My god, they've done so well, so much better than I thought, which certainly is nice to see. I think it does show us that, with BFA, I think a lot of people are not particularly interested in the gameplay, but there's still a lot of people interested in, Warcraft, the IP, and where it's going. Maybe that's the sort of players who will be a bit more interested in the next expansion, if Blizzard are able to show that their sort of philosophy changes will be backed up with action. So yeah, that's why it's been interesting doing those lore videos, especially the ones with more of just a kind of a future-looking thing. It's like, here's the chess pieces now, here's how they're moving the next patch, here's what it could mean. That stuff's all really fun, and we've got a few more videos like that on the way. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for your support on those lore videos. We've really enjoyed making them. We've got a few more in the pipeline. And yeah, I suppose it's nice that there is still a type of content that both people who are and are not playing can come together and actually enjoy, which is certainly a nice thing in the current climate. So anyway, that's it for the news. If you'd like more content from me, you can check out my second channel, a gaming news channel. We have silly amount of content over there. I think we actually worked out in the last 28 days, we released 47 videos. Now, we worked that out a few days ago, but that's pretty insane. So there's a lot of stuff over there. And then, hey, the Patreon, that's, I believe, 2 more days until the month's over, and that's when we'll be ordering everything for the production run of the Lovecraft-inspired things that we're doing to sort of celebrate the Crucible of Storms. So that's what's going on. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know what you think about all the stuff in the video down below. With that, see you next time.